Quick thing before we get started. If you disappeared from your agency for 30 days, no calls, no emails, no Slack, would it survive? Would it thrive? Would it decline? If you hesitated, I get it. I spent 12 years building my agency, and for the most part of that, I was actually the ceiling. Every decision, every client, every fire, all me. I wrote a book about what actually needed to change. It's called Operator to Owner, and it lays out the 5 identity shifts every founder has to make to stop being that bottleneck. So go to operatortoownerevolution.com. That's operatortoownerevolution.com and grab your copy. You're listening to the Smart Agency Masterclass with me, Jason Swank, and we're bringing you this episode courtesy of our friends at Wix Studio. Let's go ahead and get into the show. Hey, Brooke, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jason. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, excited to have you on. Tell us who you are, what you do.
I am Brook. I am the CEO and founder of B Squared Media. We literally just turned 14 this month as of recording, which is in May 2026. And we do social media management, paid media management, and our biggest and best and most amazing service is social media customer care.
Awesome. And how'd you get started?
Well, it's a very long story, but way back in another life, I worked in nonprofit, and I was responsible for raising about $1 million a year through about 12 or 14 events. And my boss came to me one day and was like, as if you don't have enough to do, we want you to figure out how to get young people involved with cystic fibrosis. Now, I knew what CF was because my sister has cystic fibrosis, but it only affects like 33,000 Americans. So not a lot of people know about this disease. So I'm like thinking. This was like 2006, by the way, 100 years ago. And Facebook was out. They had in 2007 when I started to plan this event. There were no pages, there were no ads. We kind of like used a profile page as a page, like as a brand page with like a logo and a name and everything like that. Very long story short, I figured young professionals loved beer. We were in Texas, so it was a pretty solid bet. And we ended up using that Facebook profile. Again, this was very early Facebook days. And we got 7,500 people to sign up, and we made $60,000, which first year events for the CF Foundation at that time usually made $5,000. So like my wheels started turning. I was like, wait a minute. There's a there. This whole social media thing, it's not about like your kitty pictures and what you had for lunch. Like there's a business case for social. And then that's where this whole crazy journey kind of began.
That's awesome. And you work with clients all over the world, big logos, small logos?
Yeah, we typically work with middle market and enterprise size brands. They are typically global brands on the higher level. So like specifically for our social care services, we work with enterprise size brands. So about 5 billion and up in revenue. And those are typically global clients. And then for social media management, we're working more with like middle market to smaller brands.
Okay. And a lot of people listening to the show, how are you getting the bigger brands? Because people are like, I remember when I started my agency, I'm like, how do you get these companies, right? Like it's just so foreign.
Yeah.
And then you get one, then it kind of stems from there. But
it's so true. And the 2 biggest clients, which by the way, we've had 0 client churn with our social care. So literally the clients that I closed 9 years ago are still my clients today. And they came from Stage. I booked Brother International, which is like sewing machine, label makers, printers, and Miele, which is a German luxury appliance brand, both from being on Stage. So it was kind of a fluke thing at that point in time, way back then, that I had gotten on stage. Like I had a lot of friends who spoke, and they were like, "You should speak," and I was like, "No, I want to vomit just thinking about getting on stage in front of all those people." But then once I got on that stage, hated every minute of it. By the way, none of that changed. But I closed those clients. I mean, as the founder owner, that is my job, is to sell. So once I saw that I got those big logos from speaking on stage, you better believe that became my mission, was to get on all of the top stages that, for events around social media. And it is still a big lead generation channel for us, event.
How are you booking? So I want to go down there's probably a couple rabbit holes we can actually go down. Let's go down the speaking on stage. Like, how are you getting on these stages after like those two, right? Like I think you said your friends asked you to speak on there.
All my friends, all my network. Yeah. So it was all my friends, all my network. You've heard it before. It's so cliche, but it's honestly so true. Your network is your net worth. So I had a bunch of friends who spoke on stage. I said to them, like, how are you getting on these stages? What are you talking about? Help me figure out a talk, right? Like, really leaned on them. I was speaking for free. Let's be honest, for years, I was speaking for free. So I want to just put that out there transparently. It wasn't like I was making a ton of money speaking. It was literally, how can I get on stage to generate some leads? So for years and years and years, I spoke for free. Then maybe 3 years into speaking, somebody told me, again, another friend, Christopher Penn, if you know who he is, he owns an AI agency called Trust Insights. And he's like, you know how you get on bigger stages, you have to write a book. So literally I took the time to write a book. I self-published. And then once I had that book, he was absolutely right. More and more stages opened up. And then later, years later, it became a business of its own, or like a revenue stream of its own. So like now I have a speaking fee, brands pay me to come out, speak, train, and consult with their teams or their customers or whatever it may be. But I would say it took probably since about 2017, I want to say 2018 was my first, speaking gig in the marketing world, all the way to now, that it took for I'm actually like getting a fee and getting paid and doing this as like a revenue stream of the company, which is great, by the way, when you're getting paid to also go sell. So I'm getting paid to be on stage, but a lot of times I'm still getting a lot of leads out of that stage. So I'm getting paid to go sell, which is like my favorite thing.
It's crazy. But like, so you wrote a book in order to get on more stages, but obviously you probably had to promote the book or.
Oh, yes.
Like walk us through some of the steps, because some people are like, I spoke in front of my Chamber of Commerce, like, that's a little.
I did
that's
too.
A little different,
that
right?
counts, but that's early days. Yeah. No, I think, when you're speaking at a larger event, like, Social Media Marketing World, I just got back from speaking with them, and I've been speaking with them since 2019 or somewhere in there. And I got on that stage because I was in the process of writing the book. So the book,
did you send them the book? Like, how did you, like, what were the steps?
I sent them the book. If you know anything about Social Media Marketing World, Michael Stelzner owns Social Media Examiner and also runs Social Media Marketing World. And he has a very unique way of getting people on stage. You actually have to make it onto his podcast. He hand selects guests for his podcast. And what a lot of speakers don't know, which I'm telling you now, which I hope is not a secret, hi Mike, is that he uses that as a springboard to put you on stage because he hand selects every speaker. So I sent him the book. He did not read it, as he admitted in our podcast episode together, but someone on his team did and kind of downloaded him on things. We talked about it. I had enough presence on the podcast that he invited me to come out and speak. And I keep getting invited back because I follow the rules. I'm a rule follower. I create new content every time, all of the things I don't sell from stage, all of the things that the events want. But by the way, it's really, I think the advice is really just finding what your differentiator is. And I mean, your real differentiator. And ours is that no one was doing social media customer care way back then. We were talking about, social being an experience channel, not a content channel. And that was very different from what everybody else was saying. So like, I was like coming in and basically like saying to the content people in the audience, like, you are all doing it wrong. And they're telling you how to post, how many times to post. And I'm telling you wrong. So I came in with like a very different
you have to find your angle.
And mindset. Yeah. So find out what that is and then do everything you can around it. Write those blog posts, speak on podcasts like this, create a book if you have the time, energy, bandwidth, funds, right? It wasn't free for me to self-publish. I think, just again, full transparency, I think all in I spent like $25,000 on getting the book, like from concept to publish. That's what's all the cost all in. So it wasn't inexpensive, but the ROI I received on writing that book and getting on more stages got me more clients.
What's the book
so it was
called?
there. It's called Conversations That Connect. And it's literally all about conversations versus content on social and how that helps you get to ROI versus just publishing content, being on that content hamster wheel, as a lot of us are on.
Yeah. I mean, we were kind of talking kind of the pre-show. I'm like, yeah, I kind of, and probably maybe still do. Like, if you looked at my stuff, you'd be like, yeah, you're just publishing content. And, a couple months ago, I went to my team, and because I was talking to someone that I've worked with in the past, and like their channel just started blowing up. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, but you've been doing content just as long as me. And I was like, what changed? He goes, I decided that I'm going to go pro. And I was like, well, tell me a little bit more.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm going to like, not just put out just content because I have to put out content. And I'm going to really kind of put a lot of effort into it, from, the quality of the content, the hook, everything like was methodical versus sometimes I've done this in the past, probably more than I could think about. I'll just like, I have an idea. Let me get on video. I'll record it. I'll do a little bit of editing. I'll publish it. I didn't put much effort into what the headline needed to be, what the hook needed to be in the very beginning, the thumbnail. Like, I was doing maybe what I thought I was doing a great job, but I was only probably doing 20% of it.
Well, you were doing what 80% of the people don't do, is you were showing up, right?
Correct.
And that is the first step. But then now that you're you, Jason, you have to go from that to that next level, which is what your firm is like. And now with AI, we have no excuse to do a little bit. I always say, like, my motto at work is do the deep work. Now that we have AI, none of us have an excuse not to do the deep work. Like, none of us, we just don't. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I mean, literally, it's making us so efficient, but it's also very distracting.
Yeah. Yes.
Because you can go like literally, like, I just got back from our event that we have, Elevate. And, I did my keynote at there, and I was like talking about building like this AI operating system.
Yes.
Which was really just a briefing document. Looking back at it, like forever ago, like 2 weeks ago, right? And then
2 weeks ago.
Oh my gosh. And
forever
then
ago.
Last week, because I don't want to be stuck in one model. Like, my whole thing was, we can train a model like Claude, because I was real impressed with Claude. I was like, oh my God, does my video editing, like, knows everything about, like, I've trained it. But then I was like, if I ever want to switch, it's going to be really hard. Mm-hmm. So I literally started thinking about what I was calling my AI operating system was really a briefing document that gave it all the context. But then I wanted to say, let's take it a step further. Let's build a whole file structure with routing, learning, context, everything. And then I can plug it in. So I went to Codex yesterday because someone told me, check that out.
Yes.
And I was like, let me plug in the operating system as I hit the mic, right?
You're excited. It's okay. This is exciting.
And it was right where I left off in Claude.
Yes. Yes.
It was pretty amazing.
No, it's so amazing. But now we don't have the excuse, right? Like, now there is no excuse not to do it. You could absolutely do what I did, and you could do it 10 times faster, 10 times cheaper, 10 times easier, because I was doing this, 100 years ago, dinosaur years, with no AI. So the fact that people have AI to their advantage now, I think you could do this a lot faster. I think the hardest part, and you can use AI for this part too, but is finding that real differentiator. Like, what is it that you do that no one else does? So a lot of people be like, well, we're a people agency. We care about people. Don't do it. It's got to be a real outcome-based. Yeah, outcome-based. Like, outcome-based differentiator. Our outcome-based for our clients, because we don't look at, we think conversation, not campaign, as our tagline says, is revenue from social for our clients. Okay, that's different because a lot of people you'll hear saying, especially the C-suite, well, social media doesn't have an ROI. So let's speak to those people, that kind of thing. Like that's going to take some homework. But once you have that, my goodness, literally the sky's the limit.
Look, your agency adapts for every client, right? Your builder should do the same. That's why Wix Studio is built for the way you actually create. AI-powered site mapping lets you get straight down to the design. Whether you shape things in Figma or start in Studio, your vision's coming to life quicker with no-code animations and built-in responsiveness. And for client growth that actually scale, you've got extendable business solutions and a dynamic CMS. Scale your agency at wixstudio.com.
Well, everything stems around that one central idea of what makes you different. And I can't stand when I hear an agency go, well, I have the best people, portfolio, and process. And I'm like, wah, wah, wah. Right. And like for many years, we struggled with it too. And we would think going, in the very beginning, and this is why there's so many people, that try to do this. They're just like, hey, you just need to get your agency to a bigger revenue. You need to make it over 7 figures or 8 figures or wherever. And I'm like, look, man, that's not it. You have to, the biggest thing that we've been telling people is you have to evolve your role.
Yes.
And it's like an evolution because in the very beginning, like you think about it, like when you start, you're the operator, you're doing everything. Mm-hmm. And then you start managing people and you're doing everything and their job and managing people, which really fucking sucks.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. So what you are saying is speaking to me so much right now because I am trying to go from being a founder to a CEO. And that is really hard to do because I'm 14 years in. So I'm totally set in my founder-led.
Yep.
Brooke does everything. Brooke's this end-all, be-all, say-all. To I don't want to be that person anymore. I want everybody else to be the Brooks and me be the silent. I'm the Homer Simpson, fading into the bushes. Yeah. Like I don't exist, and that's really hard to do.
Well, it's tough because our identity is so much ingrained as a founder operator of doing everything. So then when we like, for example, like there's kind of 5 shifts that you go through. There's the operator, there's the manager, there's the architect, which, right? The architect is designing systems so other people can make decisions without coming to you, right? So you're not the bottleneck. Then there's the CEO, right? Where now there's other people building systems so they can build, make decisions without coming to them. But then the CEO whole job is to coach and make their team better, speak on stage, be the face of the organization, figure out where the ship is actually going and make sure everyone knows where the ship's going. And then owner, you can check out, peace out. Like it doesn't matter on where you're at. They'll come to you. You just need to be accessible to your CEO and all those. But you can snap back. That's the thing I would see. And I actually went through, like when I would make it to, like when I sold the first agency, I only made it to the CEO. I didn't make it to the owner. I was still steering the ship. I was still coaching the leadership team. Yes. But a lot of times I would snap back to an operator, which would hurt the company because I just wanted to feel important.
Diminishing returns, you're the bottleneck. I mean, all those things. I'm like somewhere between 3 and 4, trying to get to 4. I didn't even know there was a 5. Now I got to go from a 3 to a 4 to a 5. But I'm okay with that. I'm happy in what I'm doing, but I know absolutely that change has to happen for us to continue to grow.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, and everyone in your team can go through those roles. You don't have to start off as a founder. Right. And
that's
I also tell everybody is you don't have to hit owner. You don't even have to hit CEO if you don't want. Some people just like building systems. Like right now, honestly, within agency mastery, I like being at the architect level. I like building systems.
That's your jam. You're having fun. Yeah.
right? Like I like that, but I can go up to the CEO level, but then I'll snap back down. And that purposely
I
holds
like
back
that.
the company a little bit too. Yeah.
But I do like that because it doesn't feel so definitive, right? Like
Mhm.
if I go into becoming the actual CEO,
Yeah.
then I have to leave all this stuff behind. But maybe I don't have to leave it all behind. Maybe I can do some things. But I would
Yeah.
rather have a much smarter person than me using AI because to be building those systems instead of me. And it is for the most part still me, which is,
Well,
a
like
struggle.
I was at my event, and Darby and Stacy, you chatted with Darby.
Yes.
Stacy is our director of happiness, and I showed her how to build this AI agent to do her job better. And then and Darby was telling the story to the members, and he goes, and then so Jason showed it was possible, and then just deleted it in front of her. And I told her, I said, go build this. Because I wanted to show her it's possible. I don't want to feed my team fish. I want to teach them how to fish.
Get it, but oh my god, I would be devastated.
Oh, she was terrified.
I might have even shed a tear or cussed you out a little bit.
I think there's a little tear shed.
Yeah.
But I was like, look, I could build this for you, and I've built this for you. But especially with AI now, I want to show you what's possible, and you can talk to it, make it better. Because if you do that, then you can become the architect for your team, and then show them, and you just progress. We may take longer to get there, but we'll go so much further later on, because now I'm not the bottleneck. I'm not the one geeking out on all this technology.
Right. No, it's so true. I started playing with AI the second it became available, and I'm totally self-taught. I'm not an expert by anywhere nowhere close to the definition or the word, but I teach a class on AI at University of California. I get hired to do a lot of these speaking and consulting and training on AI because I did exactly what you did, or exactly what you said. I just went in there and kept playing and playing and playing and playing. And I just learned by experience. I learned by doing. I learned by making mistakes. Yeah. Isn't that what entrepreneurship is, right? We just literally fail our way to the next success.
Yeah. Well, it's all by accident,
truly.
I started the agency by accident because I designed a website making fun of one of my friends. And, I started this by accident because my competitors came to me and was like, how'd you kick our butt? After, I sold, because now I wasn't a competitor. And then I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. Let's do this.
It is fun. It is fun. There has to be a passion there. I think, it sounds so cliche when people are like, oh, find your passion, or if you love what you'll do, you'll never work. No. I hate my job all the time. I don't buy into that. But what I do buy into at the end of the day, no matter how much I hate it, in there within me lives a passion to keep going. If that passion ever goes away, that's my signal to sell out, give it away, get a corporate job, whatever that means. But you have to have that innate, for me, it looks like curiosity. That's what passion looks like for me. It's constantly being curious and wanting to build new things or do things differently or better.
Yeah.
But once that's gone, I think,
Yeah. I mean, when I sold, I took a couple years off, and
good for you.
That was very boring. I was depressed. Right. I literally was like, I had to go to a Tony Robbins event to find who I was again. Get
your fire back.
Yeah. I was like, I only lasted a day because I couldn't do the huggy crap, but
no,
it was
with
pretty.
Some people. What would you say? Not that I'm interviewing you, but what would you say your passion is? How does it manifest for you?
Creating.
For me, it's curiosity. It's creativity.
Yeah. It's creating and also curiosity. I think any successful business owner has to be curious. That's one of the things I was telling people on stage. I was like, look, you have as an agency owner, you have already the most amazing traits to use AI. One is curiosity, creativity, right? You have a drive. Those are all you need.
Yes.
You don't need to even know how to use it. You could just go to it and how do I use you for this? Or I think the biggest mistake people use AI for is just to chat.
Yes.
I think you should go, here's the outcome I want. Go do it.
Correct. Yeah, I feel like we are using AI a lot, and especially in my world, to like customer experience and then customer experience on social, to like say, how many things did we ship? How many widgets did we ship? How much more efficient were we because of AI?
Yeah.
And that's lovely, but that's not how we use AI. It's more, how many widgets did we ship? And because social, by the way, AI answers, so like AEO, GEO, where do you think that's all training? On social, on Reddit, on things like that, because it's all open source. It's all a bunch of natural language,
Yep.
which AI was built on natural language processing, NLP. So it's looking at all of these social channels. So when you're asking, like, how do I get my brand mentioned in an AI answer? It's from social. It's from those open source
Do a
sites. Are
YouTube
you
short, dummy.
responding to your customers? Right. Are you responding to your customers? Are you responding to comments? Are you creating conversational content? All of that stuff is happening out there. So instead of how many widgets did we ship, it's how many widgets did we ship? Are we more efficient? And did people like our widgets? Are people
Mhm.
talking about our widgets? Is the sentiment about our widgets positive, neutral, negative? What are the top 3 complaints about our widgets? What are the top 3 pieces of brand love about our widgets? All of that's findable within those social media conversations, but we're still stuck on how many widgets did I get out faster? It's
Yeah.
very boring.
Yeah, no, AI is a huge gift, and I think there's 2 camps, people that are terrified of it and people are excited about it. And then you go back and forth between both of them all the time. That's
Yep.
how I am, like being
Yes.
honest. But
Yes.
then again, I think what slows people up is the fear. And I look back at when because I started my agency in 99. So it's kind of when the internet started getting popular. But I
Yes.
remember it took 7 years for the internet to reach 100 million people. It took 2 for ChatGPT, 2 months, not 2 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Right. Like, so it's going so quick.
It's
And
exponentially faster.
and I saw so many people, I was trying to think back at the reason why I didn't have any fear when the internet came out. I didn't have anything to protect. I was starting
that
new.
makes sense. Yeah.
But the agencies that I interview that started way before me that actually didn't make it or made it, they had something to protect.
Yes.
And that's why they struggled. And I see the same thing going on now, because they're like, oh man, AI, like I designed my personal site, my book site, our 2 event sites in like 3 hours. And they're freaking amazing in AI. I would have charged $20K, $40K for them back and like we designed AT&T and LegalZoom and Hitachi and Porsche, all these big websites. I was like, I can build these in an hour.
Now you can. Yeah. I think though you're hitting at a point that's important to talk about. And I think that, so again, looking at my business, it's paid media, traditional social media management. And then we have, the social care over here. When I think about these 2 service lines, these 2 revenue streams, AI is scary because it is making content a commodity, right? Like the things that we used to take weeks and months to build for our clients, these really intricate content calendars, it can do in seconds, right? Same thing with ads, like the ads copy, the hooks, all of the things, again, that would take us weeks, months to write for all of our clients. It's happening in seconds and it's so much better. But that's the scary part. When I look at things on the social care side, especially with acquisition. So Gartner has a stat out there that says if you use AI to help you sell, so people who use AI to help them sell 3.7 times more than people who don't. That's an opportunity. So I could stay scared about what it's doing to content and video and, paid ads, or, which is what I'm doing, I could figure out how to better use AI to make my website better, to make my, pitch decks better, to be better on stage, right? To be one of those 3.7x people to sell more. Even if I lose over here, I'm going to gain way more over here.
Yeah. Well, AI is not going to kill your agency. Hesitation will.
Also true.
Right?
Also true. Yeah. Which is why it's more important than ever to figure out what that differentiator is, I think. What do you do differently that no one else does? How can you hang your hat on that and then do everything around that, the sales, the marketing, everything you do for your clients.
Yeah. I see it as a huge opportunity right now. That's kind of why I'm hardly sleeping. I'm just like, it's like this hobby of mine going, what can I build in this?
More work. I know it's supposed to make us more efficient, but I said this on a post on LinkedIn not too long ago. It definitely has created more work for me because of that curious mindset. I'm constantly going in and figuring out like what I can tweak, change, or do. So there is like a trade-off that's happening there.
Well, I think but we're investing in ourselves.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because
100%.
Like we're like, all right, how do I get ahead? Or feel like I'm getting ahead, which I was telling on the mastermind, I was like, I feel like I'm behind in AI. But I'm probably 95% ahead of everybody else.
Yeah. We're on our own little echo chamber. If you look over the walls of marketing, consumers are way less enamored with AI than businesses and especially marketers are. So I think you're good.
And I look at it too as like, there's always going to be a director to AI. Right. And there's, when the internet came, there was never web designers. There was never webmasters. Like it's going to create so many new roles for us. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of why I'll do the shameless plug. That's why I came out with the book, Operator to Owner.
I love it. I love it.
You like that little plug?
Is that the 5-step? Is that the 5-step?
That is the 5-step. Yes.
Y'all, I'm going to read this book. Y'all have to read this book. I swear I'm not getting paid to do this. I'm just telling you because I want to know about these 5 steps now.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, awesome. Well, Brooke, thanks so much for coming on the show, and everyone, listening, make sure you subscribe, go on whatever podcast platform, rate us. That actually helps us reach more people, and we can keep doing it another 13 years. Gosh, I can't believe it's 13 years.
It's amazing.
Thanks so much, Brooke. And until next time, have a swank day.